Surviving Reality contains explicit content full of snark and sarcasm that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Reality.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly, and this is the Traitors Season 4, Episode 2, The Death Conga.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, they call me Cuban Pete.
I thought I was missing an inside joke when they started doing the conga.
Yeah, this feels like something that was happening on set that they were talking about, mentioning something, because if somebody just casually brings this up and then gets an entire group of people to do this, you had to have been talking about it at some point, right?
It seems a little suspicious and out of place, if not.
Very suspicious otherwise, but we'll get to that. That's for later in the episode.
So we pick back up. We're in the middle of a turret deliberation with our traitors, and they have their short list of who they're able to murder tonight.
Short list of the short list. And then even shorter because Rob was included on that short list. Rob R?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Rob R.
And they're not going to choose to murder him because he's a traitor, so he can't be murdered.
Can't do that. So now there's only 3 people that they can pick from.
So it's either Ian or Mark or Eric. And they're kind of feeling like Mark and Eric, that'd be kind of random to pick one of them, which could be good.
Could be.
But it's that, or they could go for Ian, who's a gamer.
Yeah, it's always the threat, right? Yeah, you got to sort that out.
That's what we were saying in the last episode.
That's what we would do.
We would go with Ian.
That's what we would pick.
He's probably going to be a lot harder to get out of this game at a later point in time.
Now, if you listen to our recaps from last season, Carly and I would deliberate on what our turret conversations would sound like, and we would come to a really logical, reasonable consensus of who we would be murdering, what reasons why, what the implications of that murder would be, who would be suspected based off of that would deflect from us, and none of that would ever happen because Danielle was just pew pew wild card. She's all over the place.
Her strategy made no sense.
I didn't get it. It wasn't my game with her. I wouldn't have been playing with her.
No, it was a hard season to watch.
That was rough. But this season, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. We don't know these traitors yet. We haven't seen them in action. So everybody's filing in for breakfast here the next morning. We're seeing everybody come through. Lisa was very excited to be the first person to knock on the door and barge into breakfast. It's very iconic for her.
She really thinks she's doing the most right now.
Well, also in the same breath, then she's like, I think Candace is overplaying stuff. She's like, needs to learn how to not be the center of attention. But you also just...
So that I could be the center of attention.
Right? Yeah. You need to back off a little bit. You got to give me some space. I'm feeling a little smothered right now here.
People are still talking about what happened yesterday with the whole Candace versus Portia thing of what was said in the car. Did Candace actually accuse Michael Rappaport of trying to go after housewives during the mission?
Johnny Weir is referring to it as the Kituation. There was a kitchen situation that took place with the allegations that were flying around. Portia and Candace in the middle of that for the majority of it. Michael Rappaport is still kind of related to it because he was just blathering on about all sorts of things.
And then we have a moment of applause. Everyone stands up when Dorinda walks through the door.
Dorinda has made her return. Yes.
She survived. Finally, her first night on the Traitors.
Waving like the queen.
She's never been to breakfast before.
She's dabbing her eye with a napkin, tears of joy, making it through the first night. It took her 2 seasons to get to breakfast.
But here we are. That's historic and iconic.
Yes, that's iconic. Yes, we'll give her that.
So as they're all sitting around, Jam Jam calls out Rob C. from Survivor and is like, I'm actually surprised to see you here, Rob. I thought for sure that you would be the person that would get murdered.
See, this is the beauty of having the secret traitor making the short list, because now there are people that you can't choose from. It's not the wide pool of people that you suspect, because Rob C. did have a coffin in his grave. He was up for murder. He could have been a potential victim as of last night, but no, he walks in at breakfast happy as a clam. And so Jam Jam's a little thrown off by that. It sends off alarm bells for the gamers because they're like, what's the strategy behind not eliminating Rob?
Well, it also doesn't look good because it's like, do we have gamers turning on gamers? Because why would you call me out for that? It's okay if somebody else wants to acknowledge the fact that I'm still here and thinks that's weird. But as a gamer, you also know that that's going to put a target on my back, that people are going to think maybe I'm a traitor. And that's why I survived the night. So why would you say that?
Yeah, back off, man. Mind your business. Eat your bagel.
No sourdough, though, huh?
No sourdough.
Was Alan serious about that when he came in later?
He better not be.
I would have been like, oh, that was the only thing I was going to eat here today.
Yeah, you would have been so disappointed about the sourdough, and then they would have been like,
They would have thought I was a traitor.
Ian was murdered.
Okay, but
Because Ian didn't
is
make
there
it.
sourdough coming?
But is there so were you serious about the sourdough? Because you shouldn't lie about that sort of stuff. This is very serious now.
Spoiler, Ian doesn't come
it's
in.
Ian. Ian didn't make it. Carly doesn't care.
No.
But also, yeah, that's basically where we landed, was that would make the most sense. Of the 3 people that they had to pick from, eliminate the threat. And that's exactly what Lisa Rinna said. So we are of the same mindset as Lisa Rinna, as alarming as that is for me right now. This is where we're at in the game.
I was happy because this was good for our bracket.
This worked. This works for the bracket. We had Ian pretty low. We knew. Social game, not his strong suit. He's a gamer, kind of awkward in the group scenarios here. Might rub somebody the wrong way, throw a thing. It's the people who can't fly under the radar necessarily here.
Okay, speaking of, Tiffany then starts to make a whole speech about Ian, about how sad it is that he went,
She was really upset.
that this was really big for him to even come here and do this. He had to really go out of his comfort zone to come on the show. And that she's hoping that he's not feeling bad about the fact that he's the first person out.
Yeah, it's like that he doesn't take it personally or anything like that, too, because of his history where it's, with the housemates who aren't as comfortable with him as far as his big brother experience that he had previously, but that kind of made him a fan favorite over there. So it's a bummer we didn't get to see him more in action here.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really get to see him participate in the game necessarily as much because it was basically just the one challenge and that was it.
Well, when you looked at the short list of who they had to pick from,
It's kinda
it was
making
either kind of a
sense.
throwaway thing or it was get rid of somebody who's a whole lot smarter than everybody else who's playing as a traitor. Let's just say it. So we're going to get ready for the mission. But before we do that, everybody breaks off into their groups after
course,
breakfast and
yes.
there's a little more chit chat. So we have Portia. Is it Tara or Tara? I've always said Tara Lipinski.
Oh, I don't know now.
But Rob R has me questioning it because he's been calling her Tara.
Okay.
So I guess that's how she
Is this
introduced
a
her to
Cody Brown
people.
Special Forces situation where I don't know.
I'm gonna go. With
I don't know, Gia.
I'm gonna go with Tara for now.
Okay.
Gina.
We'll stick with that. Yeah, Gina.
So we have Portia, Tara, Dorinda, Ron, and Kristen all in the same room together. And Portia starts talking about Ian. Now, there's a little confusion about what exactly she said.
Right. Well, when we first heard it, because we had to rewind it, but when we first heard it, it sounded like she said,
I suspected Ian, and he's the one I killed.
that's what it sounded like. But then when we rewound it, what did she actually say?
She said that she suspected him, and he's the one that got killed. But that got was said very fast. So when it kind of blended together.
And like just through her inflection and the way that she was speaking, it kind of melded together into, it sounded like she was taking responsibility for Ian's murder. And Ron heard that, and so he perked up. This is where it's like when you're kind of paranoid and then something sort of sounds like something that you're listening for, then you start to say, aha, here's some evidence to the case of it could be.
Yeah. I
This is
started
a
getting
slip of the
excited
tongue.
because here we have someone who's thinking that they're catching on to something.
I'm onto it.
Look at me. I'm so good at this game.
And so
I'm catching all the little things that the traitors are dropping. That has to be a clue that she's a traitor.
right, she's messed up here. She's admitted to this now. So Ron just makes note. He doesn't really call it out in that moment. And then in the same conversation, she goes and says another thing of like alluding to.
Yeah, she said, if we kill a faithful at banishment.
If we kill.
So because she said kill instead of banish or vote out a faithful, they're thinking, why is she even in the mindset of murdering people if she's not a traitor?
But she's meaning like kill, like if you remove a faithful from the game at banishment. And then because she was talking about how basically if they banish a faithful and then another faithful gets murdered, then you're losing 2 faithfuls per day, which that's really bad for the faithfuls, which yes, but that's usually how it goes. That's kind of the basis of the game, especially at the beginning.
What she's saying makes sense. The problem is the way she's communicating those things.
It's not good.
It's getting misconstrued.
And people are catching on. So now there are multiple people who are very sensitive to this and the verbiage that's flying around.
So Ron leaves that conversation and goes and talks to Michael and Donna and tells them what just happened. And they're all now on the same page that means that Portia's a traitor.
Well, I think Michael and Donna were there for the second one. So like they heard the second one.
Now they've got the full picture of everything.
And then Ron's confirming out that's not the first time it happened in that conversation. So now they're all high alert, red alert, DEFCON 5.
So they've now come together as the 3 of them being an alliance against Portia.
What a team to form. What group is this? The land of misfit toys?
Poor Donna, man. She's here and she has no one that she knows. This is kind of weird for her. She's out of her element.
Yeah, Paul McCartney's not here. He's not part of the game. So she doesn't have any friends here.
She needs to quit name dropping. That's it's gonna make her some enemies. But her name's getting thrown around in some of the other groups. Tiffany's saying, Donna, something's up with her. She's, again, kind of a loner. She's not really going out of her way to make connections and get to know people.
People are getting weirded out, too, where she won't talk game strategy with anybody. But I think the caveat there is she won't talk game or strategy with anybody she doesn't trust. So she only trusts Ron and Michael Rappaport right now, which
who knows why?
Not the team that I would be putting at the front of that list, at the top of the list here for trustworthiness. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just funny that she's kind of has her pick of the castle. She has no one that she's come into this kind of loyal to or who she has a background with, and she's ended up with 2 bad faithfuls.
Or maybe I'll blend with places where there's kind of already an established group, like the gamers or the housewives. No. That's not what happened here. She's blazing her own trail through the game here, I suppose.
So everyone's got that on their minds as they go to this next mission. What are we calling this? This is the Game of Thrones Bran challenge? Why did they roll out Bran's wheelchair from Game of Thrones?
Well, first of all, yeah, they took the cars off road and like way out, way far away from the castle. You can see it off in the distance. It's very teeny tiny. They're a good bit away. And then, yes, there are these 3 large Game of Thrones chairs.
I'm convinced these were liquidated from the set when they wrapped filming on Game of Thrones.
Well, that's HBO. That's different.
Yeah, they don't care. The props people, they went out, they picked through there. It was like an estate sale, and they had 3 of them. And so here we are.
Yeah, this one was for the stunts, and then this one was for the wide shots.
And then we have a backup just in case.
Just in case. So yeah, this is Who Wants to Be the Three-Eyed Raven. We're trying to figure out. Everybody gets to pick who's going to be sitting on the throne, because there is a benefit to sit on the throne. Is if you're on the throne at the end of the mission, you get a shield. So you're shielded from murder at the end of the night there. So that's good. But the trick being, there's a couple of pit stops along the way.
Right. And starting out at the beginning, there's not a very high likelihood you're still going to be on the chair by the end.
Right. Because at each stop, there's going to be money that you have to scavenge around for. There's like a certain dollar amount, but then there's also 2 tokens. They're like these big silver coins that you can redeem at the Bran chair to
You have to pay to ride.
to swap out your big Chuck E. Cheese token here, to slot that in there, and then you get to take the spot of the person who's sitting in the chair. You get to sit in the chair now.
They were smart with how they started out because they just picked small people, because this is going to be very far to get from where they're starting to all the way back to the castle.
I think everybody was pretty much in agreement on, yeah, if you're starting in the chair, you're probably not going to finish in the chair. So smallest people first.
If we're pushing you,
lightest weight.
we're looking for the tiniest of the
Yeah,
bunch.
we need the little people, little Johnstons up front here. Who's jumping in?
We start with Tiffany, Candace, and Caroline.
And we make our way to the first pit stop here with only minor interference. I think they only clipped a corner coming around out of the field. The one spot there hit a railing and kind of got snagged up a little bit. But then they get going.
These chairs are made for war. It's okay.
You think? Yeah? Is that what it is? They're FDR chairs. That's what it is.
Stop. That's
No?
terrible.
What is that? No? How would I have broken this mission, Carly? That's what I'm going to ask you, because I already thought of a way that I would break this mission.
I don't know.
Specifically regarding the tokens. What would I do if I found a token?
Keep it until later?
Keep it until you're walking up to the end. Yes.
They never said that you had to redeem it at the stop you were at.
Correct. They never stipulated when you can use the token.
They would hate you.
I know they would.
Because they'd be like, the rules, if we had to write them for you, would be 6 pages long.
Because I would say, you did not specify any of those details. So, I mean, the way that they are finding the tokens, though, they're making it seem like they probably were told, if you find a token, you have to call it out in that moment. So maybe they didn't film that part of it for the instructions. But for me personally, I'm checking the fine print here on what are the rules, Alan. You told me if I find a token, I can choose to redeem that token for a spot on a chair.
Well, but so let's think about it. You don't admit that you have a token. How are you going to get everyone to move past that stop? Because there are going to be people who are going to refuse to leave unless they find all of the tokens.
You wait till the last stop. And
no,
then
I mean, everybody knows that there's 2 tokens at each stop. So there will be people who will refuse to leave that stop and move on to the next one if you did not find 2 tokens.
You have someone find a token. Well, okay, so I get what you're saying of like
They'll
wanted
know
everybody to
someone's
find
being
2.
dishonest.
Or you didn't find it.
Or nobody found it. Okay.
So do you know the difference between, you won't be able to tell if it's someone found one and pocketed it.
I don't know.
Or if you can't find it.
This being the second challenge, I don't think you should pull anything shady like that.
I'm just saying. So then here's the thing, is that then you could say, when you get to the last challenge spot, when you're pilfering around looking for stuff, you can either say, ooh, I found a token. It was in the first place that I looked. And then maybe somebody else looks for one other token, and then they kind of call it quits after that, because then people aren't really looking for it. Or you wait for one person to find one.
Oh, you could have hedged your bets on running out of time.
Correct.
By the time you get to the end.
Correct.
So there's no continuing to look for things.
Because there's no time reminder, too. That's the complicated thing here. They have 45 minutes to get back to the castle. There are no clock call-outs here. So they're just kind of guessing.
I'd be out there for hours.
Yeah, I said this is I have a ADHD compliance thing that I'm going to need an accommodation on this one. I'm going to need a watch of some kind.
Speaking of, where did Mama Kelsey go?
Maybe she had an out. Yeah, she was like, oh, I'm not allowed to be in these physical things. She was rowing in the boat and stuff, though.
I thought that I saw her at first, and then the rest of the mission, I didn't see her anywhere.
Like, we saw, the first part?
Also, what an asshole thing. She couldn't have been here, because you picked the smallest people over the oldest person to sit in the chair. Don't you think you should let the 74-year-old woman sit in the chair at some point? She never did.
She didn't find the tokens.
I don't think she was.
Okay, if you want to sit in the chair and you're not one of the first people to sit in the chair, you need to find a token. So I don't know why this is the same issue that Michael Rappaport has, because he's thinking that we're able to debate and make a case for who should be in the chairs on the last stop. No, sir, we are racing against the clock. We have no idea how much time is left. And then you're going to try to steal somebody else's token or have them give it to you based on the case that you plead in front of them? No. You didn't find a token. You don't get it. But I understand why he was confused, though, because a lot of people who were finding the tokens. We're just giving them to other people on the first 2 stops.
Yeah, so Monet finds one and Steven finds one at the first stop, and they both give them away. I understand why Monet did, because she was saying, I can't take this and sit in the seat this early on and have them push me. You know, we've got to keep pushing smaller people.
Yeah.
They'll resent me if I do that.
It would be bad as the social aspects of the game would say, don't do that, because it's not the odds of you making it all the way to the end, probably not worth the risk of having people just resent you for not being a team player at the first stop.
So Monet gives that token to Lisa, and then Steven's token goes to Dorinda. Now we go to stop 2.
The second stop, didn't Steven find another one?
A second one.
That's wild. I think if I found 2, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to take this one, right? Like, you hit 2 in a row, you're not going to get the third one, probably.
I feel like your luck's running out at that point.
Like...
But he gives it away.
He still
he
went
gives
with
it to Caroline.
Yeah.
And then Maura finds a token on her own.
And so she cashes in. She swaps in as well. So now going to the third one, there was another handoff because it was Rob R. found one, and then he gave it to Jam Jam.
Mm-hmm.
Of all people. That's who you're giving it to? Rob's reasoning, though, was interesting. He thought, there's a possibility that Jam Jam is the secret traitor, and I want to win favor with him.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to build a little rapport here.
That's
Maybe
a pretty big gamble.
In the past, I can, cash that in for a little favor my direction over some of the other traders.
But still, that's suspicious too, because then that's what people are like, giving up these multiple token shield opportunities.
But Rob is also a giant. How upset would they have been to have to push him back to the castle?
It's true. It's true. Yeah, like...
I think there were a couple things working against him.
Yeah, like, I think he understood that there was a bigger risk in that.
So Jam Jam then takes the token and has to decide who he's going to ask to get off of the chair.
It was going to be...
the throne.
Caroline or Mara. And he was kind of between them, and then he goes with Mara.
Who was really upset.
She was very upset.
She's like, come on. They're so close to the end, and you're going to have to swap out. Colton also finds a token, and instead of being like all of the other men in this challenge who have given it away to someone much smaller than themselves, he gets up on that throne.
But who was upset about this? I mean, aside from the people who had to push him uphill for the last stretch there.
I mean, nobody really said anything.
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, yeah, if
maybe they're
found
overthinking the perception.
I think you're overthinking the people are going to hate me for this. Well, if you get to the end, if the time is expired, if you're after 45 minutes, you don't bank any of the money and nobody gets any shields. You don't get anything.
Right, which is why when Michael approaches Jam Jam, who has the token already into the little receptacle.
It's like halfway in the slot there.
He's trying to argue that, like, we should be having a conversation about who needs this more. Why are you just getting in the chair? I want to sit in the chair. I want my chance, even though I didn't find a token myself to be able to be the one who rides back to the castle.
And then Jam Jam's like, oh no, I dropped it. It's already in there. I cashed it in already.
Too late. Can't take it back.
Bye. See ya.
Although, like, again, is there
Start
a rule
pushing.
that whoever puts the coin in there must sit in the chair?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That wasn't clearly stated for me. So I don't know.
So the state of things as they're running towards the castle is we have Colton, Jam Jam, and Caroline sitting in the thrones.
And they've banked, $22,500 potentially here. And they make their way to the castle. The timing at first, whoever was counting in their head, who was that? Was that Natalie, I think? Or no, not Natalie.
It was Tiffany.
It was Tiffany. Tiffany was in the chair,
Good
and
job.
she was dialed in. She's like, it's been about 2 minutes. She was only like 12 seconds off. So like they were pretty close to real time elapsed calculations that were going on. When they were leaving like the second spot, I think they were 3 minutes under on their count. So they were actually a little behind schedule because they didn't know how much time had elapsed. They were actually a little bit further ahead in the actual time. So it was risky pulling up to the last stop here. But then Alan lets them know, yeah, you finished 10 minutes early. 10 minutes to spare, guys. Good job. What?
I could never.
I wouldn't have debated any of this stuff. At the third one, it's like, grab what you can, and then we're out of here.
Either I would have completed this in 15 minutes and been convinced that the clock
we didn't
was
make
out.
It. Yeah.
Or I would have been out there for 4 hours.
It's one or the other, and there's no in between.
The sun would be starting to set, and I'd be like, I think that we kind of messed up the time, guys.
I think we spent too long here.
Be sending a crew out to retrieve me. Still be out there searching for coins. So the three of them are protected from murder because they made it back in time. They get the money, and everything seems good until Michael starts complaining in front of everybody that he doesn't even understand how this all played out the way it did. Because was there not going to be a time to debate who was going to get to be the three people who get a shield?
No, that sounds like something that you should discuss at the roundtable discussion. So
Alan had to shut
get
it
in the
down.
House. Go. Go.
Shh.
That's enough.
It's time to move on. The challenge is over.
Maybe talk about it later. If you want to talk about stuff, go talk over there.
We have a little time to talk before they get to the round table. So here are discussions to figure out where everyone's head is at. You felt very passionate about the fact that they cut to Kristen in the kitchen using the back of a bread knife to butter a piece of bread.
Okay. This is our Food Network representative. Chef Kristen using a bread knife, a slicing bread knife to butter the bread was alarming to me.
Maybe they don't have a lot of knives.
I didn't think that was her. Like that was not my first guess as to who would be in the kitchen.
You didn't think it was our trained chef?
No, that was not
Someone
the move I was
culinary
expecting
experience.
to see from that side of the kitchen. No.
Was it supposed to be impressive or is it alarming?
Impressive.
I've never seen someone turn a knife around like that and then use the backside of it to do something else with.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Use a butter knife. Use the right tool for the job. What are you doing?
All right, so everybody else is breaking off into groups and talking. And Donna is still refusing to throw any names out as far as who she thinks a traitor.
Only to some people, though. Again, she has her core group that she's really dialed in with.
But it's enough people that she's not talking to that then when they say something to each other,
it's off-putting.
They're like, yeah, she hasn't said anything to me either.
Yeah,
That's
sketchy.
Weird. Why
Yeah,
isn't she playing the game?
It's nerve-wracking and it's suspicious. So, they don't like that.
She does have a reason for doing this, though. She's trying to play and be strategic because she doesn't want to tell too many people about Portia and their suspicions because that might get back to Portia before they get to the round table. So Donna has watched the show.
They're trying to blindside. Yeah, which is not a bad move. That is the better way to bring that up.
You're trying to blindside somebody when there's 23 people who have to vote. That's and tough. 3 of you are on the same page about the person you're going to accuse.
You don't really have a voting block per se. So you need to whip up a couple more votes or figure out who you can trust to get them in on that. I don't know. That the blind side at the round table is good in certain cases, though, I think. Yeah, you would need more people involved, probably, to make that a sure thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of people saying Donna's name.
Yes.
A lot of people.
A lot of people.
And then we see Portia talking to the group about, who do we think the traitors are? So she is trying to play the game, unlike Donna. But then she makes the mistake of saying there are 4 traitors. Right? I mean, there's got to be 4.
And Ron is there to hear this now. And he goes, how do you know there are 4 traitors? Because we do not know how many traitors. Unless you are a traitor, how would you know?
Maybe because she's watched the last 3 seasons of this show?
Yeah, but usually when they pick 3. So I guess if you're saying, oh, they picked 3 and then there was the secret one.
I think she's assuming because they picked the secret traitor that there may be an extra.
Maybe, but she said that very definitively. There are 4 traitors. And so then it's like, well, you don't know. You can't know that for sure, though. That's the tricky part. Is because Alan said, I'm going to pick one of my traitors, and that was part of it. So they don't even know about the secret traitor element at all.
This was unfortunate because if there wasn't the other stuff beforehand, I don't know that Ron would have taken that and been like, that's another piece of
definitive
evidence.
Well, yeah, it's like she's speaking in certainties about things that she shouldn't know about unless she was a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always suspicious. There's always one person in the group who does this, though. There's either a misspeaking, a slip up of phrase or terminology or something where they use a traitor verb instead of a faithful verb, and then that throws people off, throws people for a loop here.
Yeah, I think you have to make sure that you phrase things as a question. So if you have something that you want to say, instead of saying there are 4 traitors or there has to be 4 traitors, right? You have to say, how many traitors do you think there are? And then maybe you can throw out your idea. Your theory
Yeah.
as to why.
Right.
But you have to let other people speak first.
Fill in the
or
gaps.
It sounds like a definitive.
Sometimes. Because then if you're asking too many questions, then people are like, oh, I'm always getting grilled. I'm always getting interrogated. It's like,
she's really trying to pick me apart.
Yeah. So it's
picking
just
for information.
Depends
digging.
on the people. And it's all based on personal reception of that information and what the reactions are going to be here. But the thing that keeps coming back to it is where Ron's first point of evidence is a complete thing that he like misheard. So that's the part for me too, where it's just like, oh no, has reinforced it. These 2 other things that aren't even really related to that have now solidified into here's all of this overwhelming amount of evidence that Portia is indeed a traitor.
I love how this show is so predictable in that here we are again with somebody who thinks they are just doing a bang up job and they're going into this round table with irrefutable evidence. They have multiple points to prove out why this person must be a traitor. And they're going to catch one on night 1.
Yep. This is going to be the first round table, and we'll be the first set of faithfuls to find a traitor on the first round table. Watch it happen here.
All right. So going into this, Portia and Donna, not really in a good spot. Nobody wants to speak at first. Like Alan's like, you have the floor, and there's just dead air.
Yeah, I was surprised that Michael didn't speak up first.
Same.
I was shocked, actually, that Michael didn't speak up first. And we start off with, I think it was Natalie, right?
I think it was edited out of order because Natalie said, can I say something?
Right.
Which sounds like an interjection.
Yeah.
Rather than I'll start.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she is the one who starts, at least from what we see. And she brings up Donna's name. And how Donna just seems really stressed and
it's more of a
something's
vibe.
Off.
Yeah, there's a vibe. So like that's what she's going off of, gut instinct, and don't really have anything else to prove, but we're at the stage in the game where we don't really have a lot to go off of. And then Ron's like, excuse me, I have a lot to go off of. And I would like to list out, I'm going to bring 3 points of evidence to the table for your consideration and deliberation, but Portia's definitely a traitor, right? Like, that's basically where we're at.
So point 1 was the conversation that happened in the car between Candace, Portia, and Maura.
The Kituation.
Yeah. Where it was denied after the fact.
Yes, where she dismissed it.
That Candace said Michael was going after housewives.
Yes, and that Portia just said, oh, well, then I must have misheard, because she was trying to attribute something to Candace, which then Candace was saying, oh, no, that's not what I said.
Amazing that she's getting off scot-free with this, and that instead it's looking like Portia.
To an extent here, yeah, because then leading into Ron's other points of then the other things that were said, the misspeaking. I murdered.
And then
the number of traitors.
Yeah, or killed.
Yes.
And then the 4 traitors.
So, like, those were his points. And then Donna basically piled on too, because then it was she was being accused, and now she's saying, well, I think it's Portia, though. So that was kind of an interesting deflection there. But everybody's basically just saying, I think Donna would be a prime candidate to be a traitor, because who would suspect Donna of all people? And instead, we're seeing some other evidence be raised. Now, where it gets crazy is that Candace jumps in to defend Portia.
Mm-hmm.
Which
She's
is
like,
wild.
I know Portia, and Portia does misspeak a lot. So I'm going to say that that's her only defense at this point. I'm going to back that up.
I'll stick with that. I'll trust her on that account.
I think she feels really guilty
Yes.
about what she planted in the car that
Yes.
really backfired.
Oh, yeah, because now it's looking like it's worse for Portia, not that this was something that was on Candace. So I don't think that was a good play necessarily from the traitor perspective to try to defend Portia. And I mean, I guess at this point too, it's looking like overwhelming evidence for Portia though. So then you could say, well, I still said that I thought she was a faithful, and she was a faithful, you know, like if she gets up there and she says that she was a faithful. So that could be your cover, I suppose, to like backpedal on that, defending her.
I thought Donna actually did really well at the round table.
She did. She was doing good.
Yeah, I was thinking that like it would not go very well for her. I really didn't think that she'd be accused right off the bat.
No, yeah, not right out the gate here, but like she did handle it well. She stayed composed. She was able to speak to, I mean, there's not a lot of stuff that's being raised though either.
Right.
It was
it's
all
just the vibes.
Yeah. It was all just going off of gut reactions, instincts of things, your facial expressions after we took off our masks when Alan picked the traitors, just that stuff. So it's still very loosey-goosey as far as the approach goes. So I think that would probably be why she hasn't really been under fire here. Because if they were coming at Donna with the list of things that Portia was facing, I think that would be really rough. That'd be a tough counterpoint to go with here. So it's looking like
it's one of the two of them.
It's
right?
either Donna or it's Portia based on the table discussion.
Now, you're playing the game. It's the first round table. Seems like we've come to a pretty definitive spot here where it's either Donna or it's Portia.
It's usually how these conversations go.
Should we stop talking at this point?
Right. Or like,
do you maybe sit back and not add any fuel to the fire? Because at this point, there's a choice to be made between the two. Or are you Michael Rappaport and you still are upset about the fact that you didn't get a shield? So you've got to speak up and say something about it.
And honestly, at that point too, I would have said, Michael, I didn't want to waste a shield on you because I thought you were going to get banished at the round table. If we're being totally honest, I didn't think you were going to make it out of this. So why would we waste a shield on you? Because then Michael Rappaport, throughout his entire tirade that he goes off on how Jam Jam stole his opportunity to sit in the chair and get pulled up to the front of the castle. And that's what he's really upset about, I think, deep down. Not so much the shield, but just riding along on the throne here a little bit, maybe. So once he gets that out of his system, he misspeaks and he says something about...
Because we got rid of Ian.
Because we killed Ian. So he does the exact same thing that Portia has been accused of, and that everyone is pretty convinced that she's a traitor. Just in this conversation, he does that at the round table right before they vote.
Well, at this point, they have to tell him to stop talking. Everyone's like, shh, stop talking, shut up, don't say anything. Because now we're all getting confused. Because we had a decision to be made between two people, and now you're saying stuff, and we don't know what to think anymore.
So this ties back to our original assessment of adding him as a player in this game. If you go back, we figured he was going to rub people the wrong way. He was going to be so outspoken on everything that he was just going to confuse everyone, and that people would deem him as either a traitor or a terrible faithful, which
they said it verbatim.
That's exactly where we're at right now, is what's worse than a traitor, a bad faithful. And so now we're going to get to vote. Which
I'm sorry,
I guess
Michael's yelling, start the vote.
Oh.
Start the vote. Let's vote.
And
Why? It just went really bad for you.
Yeah, like, let's not rush into this here. It's now you're leaving it where it was going to be pretty much a 50-50 split. Now, if you're splitting it three ways, because people are probably going to suspect Michael Rappaport now, based off that interaction, when you have this many people and you're splitting the vote three ways, it doesn't take much to send somebody home now.
So we start voting. It's pretty split between Donna and Portia. Every once in a while, Michael's name pops up. We end up with 4 for Michael. So Monet, Tiffany, Jam Jam, and Rob C voted against Michael. 3 of the gamers.
Interesting. Yeah.
And Rob C, who's been playing very strategically, who said, you're basically distracting us from having the conversations that need to be had here in this room.
Right.
So we need to get rid of you.
Yeah. You're interrupting the game, basically, at this point by participating. So I think you should go.
Some surprising votes for Portia. Lisa Rinna.
Lisa Rinna.
So we have a housewife who turns on another housewife.
So that's pretty wild. Because normally you wouldn't suspect that. And Lisa was even dreading it for the first vote to go against the housewives. That's not going to look good at all, actually.
Comes down to one final vote, split between Portia and Donna, and it's Colton Underwood.
And Colton, this whole episode has been like, I don't trust Donna. Donna reminds me of my mom, and I would keep her around for all the other reasons in the world, but on suspicion of being a traitor, I don't like the vibe that I'm getting, and I don't think that I can keep her in the game with me. So he was like spearheading a lot of the allegations against Donna all episode, pretty much. In every group that you would see him in, he was always throwing her name around.
I guess Ron's carefully laid out argument really swayed him.
Yeah, he
because
went with
he
the
votes
evidence
for Portia.
He went with the evidence this time. And so it's all the votes have tallied up here. That was one vote that pushed it over the edge for Portia. And she has to get up to the circle of truth and expose if she's either a faithful or a traitor, which is exciting to go through now. Because it used to be we would just know that they were a faithful. And then there was no anticipation of the reveal at all. So this is kind of neat that we'll be able to see at least a couple of these, that it'll build up some suspense for us here at the Banishment. Because when she's up there, it's like, well, I don't know. Was she misspeaking as a traitor? Was
she our secret traitor?
Or was she the secret traitor? Yeah, so did we not know who it was? No, she was just the faithful who misspoke constantly. So yeah, she's out, and you banished a faithful, guys.
And for some reason, they can't believe it.
No. Well, and Ron is like, oh no, this is not going to look good for me. And same with Donna too. She went, crap.
A lot of them are feeling like they got played by Ron.
Yes, but then that's always what happens too. Because then this is where people will suspect, oh, that seems traitorish. No, that's so indubitably faithful behavior of bringing up all this stuff, pointing out all this evidence of things that you heard, things that you saw, things that you experienced that were suspicious about this other person. But it turns out they were faithful. Okay, you were absolutely convinced that they were a traitor, though, because you are a faithful. You don't know who the traitors are. So if anything, that proves your faithfulness to me, a gamer, who is looking at this as a game.
Well,
but everyone in the social group,
stupidity alone proves that you're faithful.
You're faithful through everything that you went through here of exposing this because you thought it was going to get a traitor out of the game, and now all the eyes are on you.
Big mistake, in my opinion, Lisa voting for Portia.
That was bad.
The other housewives are talking about this after. Like, can you believe that she voted for Portia? I thought we had a thing going here.
Yeah.
I thought we were all supporting one another and voting as a block. That's not going to look good for her.
I don't think so. Yeah, there's going to be some repercussions for that, most likely.
All right, now the next thing that happens is the traitors are told there's going to be a murder tonight, but they have to do it in plain sight. So this usually happens a couple of episodes in.
They're jumping right in.
Off the bat.
I think
it's only their second murder.
What was that one with Nobody Likes You, Poverty? It was Poverty with the chalice. They had to get people to drink out of the chalice.
Yeah.
That was like the second or third episode too, I think.
Oh, okay. So then maybe it's not that far off from when they usually do it.
I don't know. But the trick here is if they don't do this, if they don't accomplish the murder in plain sight, then there is no murder for the night. And the other catch is you don't get to find out the identity of the secret traitor tomorrow. So that's another added benefit, incentive to, hey, we got to get this done, because if we're able to pull this off, the murder in plain sight, we'll be able to get the murder, and we get to meet our secret traitor and know who they are. So now we can all work together.
So those are all the benefits. But then the way this is going to work is the secret traitor has already made their short list of who's up for murder. These are going to be in a deck of tarot cards that they have to locate in the kitchen.
They're behind a picture in the kitchen, but you don't know what picture. And there are quite a few pictures that are hanging up in the kitchen.
So they have to retrieve it from there, and then they have to bring those cards into the breakfast room, and they're going to have to throw the tarot card of the player that they want to be murdered into the fireplace.
They have to burn it.
All without being detected by anyone. And the hardest part of this is everybody is sitting in the kitchen talking to each other.
There's so many people in the kitchen, obviously. And so this is where it's kind of like piling up, where Rob is coming into the kitchen. Rob R., the traitor, is coming into the kitchen. Candace is already in the kitchen.
They're trying to look around at the pictures on the walls.
And I mean, I was impressed that Rob R. was able to spot it immediately. He was like, well, there's a picture of Death. The Grim Reaper, of course, it's going to be behind that photo. So that's what I'm going to go for. So he's already picking out which one. He doesn't have to look for this or look behind multiple pictures when he does get an opportunity here. The problem is there is no opportunity because there's always at least 5 people in the kitchen at any given time right now.
So he has an opportunity to quickly say something to Candace. He's like, I need you to get everybody out of this room. You and Lisa, you need to think of something so that everybody moves to another part of the castle.
So Candace and Lisa, because Candace then relays that information to Lisa. Now they're going into the library over by the bar, and they're going to try to come up with a distraction, which Candace pitches a conga line.
Everybody's into it. So this must have been something that they were joking about earlier.
Had to have been something that came up. And so as soon as everybody forms into a conga line and starts parading through the house from room to room, Podcast Rob takes one look around and he's like, murder in plain sight's happening. So, something is off. Something's wrong.
Did you tell Tiffany?
He told Tiffany, and Tiffany was like,
okay,
yeah,
we need to hide. He's
we're
like,
staying in the other room.
Don't
we're not
touch
going.
anybody. Don't take anything from anyone.
Don't, shake hands. No physical contact with anybody. Don't join in the conga line. We're going to stay in a different room, separate room. They're going to do their thing. We're going to stay over here, but high alert. We're not doing this.
I was worried that the fact that they were separating themselves from the group was going to lead them to be able to maybe see something they shouldn't have.
That, or it adds to the suspicion
of where were you
being a traitor, because then you can say, I suspected that a murder in plain sight was happening, so I removed myself from the group. And then everybody's going to go, bullshit. You sound like a traitor who was trying to hide during that time. So it cuts both ways, unfortunately.
I don't know if he's thinking that far ahead yet.
Right.
I don't know.
He's still playing it like that.
So Rob R. gets all of the tarot cards in the kitchen. And the short list is Monet, Rob C., Tara, and Kristen. What do you think of that list?
I think it's very different than last night's list. But consistent, where I had Rob C. and Ian kind of paired up as part of our assessment that we had, the cast assessment stuff. So I did have them kind of linked up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. Linked up.
Like a bonded pair. Tara and Johnny Weir. They knew each other, kind of a known alliance thing. Even though it seemed like Rob C's really been playing with Tiffany more. They have kind of stuck together.
So let me tell you what I find suspicious about this. So last episode's shortlist for murder was Rob R., Ian, Mark, Eric.
It was all dudes.
But I feel like the person who's creating this shortlist is trying to make it very obvious who they want them to murder.
Right.
Because it's like a strategic gamer.
Uh-huh.
And then a bunch of other expendable people.
3 useless people.
Yes.
3 useless people. Is what it comes down to. In terms of the game.
Right. Or people who don't immediately necessarily have like a big alliance.
A threat. Yeah, not a threat to traitors.
Also, it's odd that there are no housewives on either of these lists.
That's what made me consider for a moment, is Dorinda the secret traitor? Because there have not been any housewives listed at all. And then this would also put 3 housewives as traitors for this season. Is this the vengeance from last season that we
That's
saw?
what you guys get for getting rid of Dorinda on night 1.
Yeah. I mean, is that part of it?
Production is seeking revenge.
Production's done with that. Yeah, they were like, how do we prevent Dorinda from getting murdered the first night? We'll make her a traitor before she walks into the house. How about that?
There's something fishy about the list.
I
my
understand
opinion.
what you're saying, where if they're making short lists here, it's very clear of like who the threat would be. So I think that's the interesting part of saying, here are the people to pick from. Are they picking the strategic picks that are in here, or are they going random? And it seems like, from what we could tell with Ian, they went for the strategic plays, the threats, and removing them from the game. So who are you worried about then of this list for murder tonight?
Worried, or who would I murder?
Yeah.
I would get rid of Rob C.
Rob C's the
For
threat.
sure.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that worries me about that is the traitors did not get to come to a consensus about this together. Really, Rob R and Lisa had the opportunity to sit down together. They're pretending to play chess.
Which Tara was watching them play chess for a minute there.
Yeah.
And at one point, because it was Rob R had offered to Lisa, oh, do you want to play chess? And she goes, oh, sure. Because he figured this is a good cover. We'll be able to talk, because nobody's going to want to watch us play chess. That's boring. And then they're not really going to be listening if she's like learning how, like they don't even.
Who wants to watch
wants to-
someone learn how to play chess?
Right. That's what it comes down to. That's not really riveting television necessarily. So they're thinking this is a great cover. And then as they sit down, Tara comes over and she is watching from a couple feet away very closely what's going on here. And then for a moment, I thought, oh my God, does Rob R not know how to play chess? And then he's going to be like, let me teach you how to play chess. I don't know how to play chess.
I
Do
think
you
he
know how to play
barely
chess?
knew. I think he knew the names of the pieces.
He went through, yeah, because he called the rook the castle. So that was a big enough of a red flag for me. And this is the turret. I mean, the castle.
I thought this was a good idea, though, because he did say when they sat down, okay, so these pieces each represent one of the people who are up for murder. You need to tell me which piece.
Yes, he was.
That way we're not saying names.
Right. He was associating the options that were available to the pieces on the board so they could talk about it without actually talking about it, which Lisa was able to pick up on pretty quickly. And then what's scary, though, is when you're mentioning Tara as one of the names and then she's 3 feet away from you staring at you while you're interacting with the board. That's a little alarming.
Well, they both got very nervous.
Very nervous. Forgot what I was doing. Didn't really know what we were doing, how to start.
Forgot about Candace.
Yeah. Didn't even
Nobody
check with her.
checks in with her.
No, didn't check on her.
Meanwhile, she's in the kitchen, and Rob C. says something to her about how he thinks that there's a murder in plain sight. He says this in front of Candace and in front of Mark.
Mark, yes.
So they're the two in the kitchen with him. And then he asks Candace, did you start the conga line?
You started the conga line, right? And Candace says, yeah. Because, like, that was something that you can't deny now. And, I mean, she could have tried to throw Lisa under the bus a little bit. Yeah, me and Lisa. But then you're putting 2 traitors on the radar. This is why the murder in plain sight, whatever that big diversion is, it can't be your idea. You have to get someone else excited about something.
Yeah.
And they
are the
push.
one that get everybody else
They
to do something.
push for everyone else. So it has to be something, you got to go at it like the Bronwyn way, right? Where you got to say something that people forget about that actually leads to something else happening by somebody, you know.
Can we get
directing
a housewife from Salt Lake City on this show?
I think, yeah, who would we shortlist for that, though? I mean, Bronwyn would be a good choice. I think she would be treacherous on the Traitors.
She might be needing the money soon. She would love the costume aspect.
She would love that.
I'm sorry, costume or couture.
Well,
The couture aspect.
yeah, she'd be going toe-to-toe with Alan at the roundtables for sure.
I think Heather would be a terrible faithful. She'd
Yeah.
just be really bad at it.
She'd be really bad. Meredith would be an interesting play. She's very good with words.
Yeah, she'd be good at the round table.
Good at the round table.
But she's a little too quiet until she gets put on the spot.
Right.
That might be seen as suspicious.
If Lisa's not there to talk for her, then that might be difficult. Yeah.
Mary Cosby would give them great sound bites.
Oh, yeah.
And again, love dressing up.
Yep, definitely. I don't think she would want to go to Scotland for 2 weeks, though. I don't know why. I just get that vibe.
She wouldn't want to do all the missions.
Yeah. She doesn't want to be bothered
too much
with that.
work. Yeah.
I have people to do this for me instead. Yeah.
Well, ask Donna Kelsey what accommodations she was receiving, how she got out of this last mission. So we see Lisa and Rob R go into the breakfast room. They throw a card into the fire, so they've completed the murder. And Candace runs in after, just looking like,
did we do it?
can someone tell me what you threw into the fire?
They just left. And so she doesn't even know who they picked now. So it's just like, okay, is there a traitor alliance that's happening here where Candace is getting thrown under the bus and she was the one who pitched the conga line a little too seriously and she drew a little too much heat for defending Portia at the round table, maybe? And so they're already bickering amongst themselves,
Here's your
maybe?
punishment.
Yeah, I guess, maybe.
Well, that's where we end this episode.
So we'll have to see what happens next. We'll see who ends up walking in to breakfast tomorrow morning, and then we'll figure out who the secret traitor is, too. That's the other benefit here.
Well, I hope they let us see. They don't just have them find out.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
They could keep us in the dark.
They could keep the audience in the dark, too. Yeah, potentially.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.